Hey everybody, so I take great pleasure in being able to bring you this next discovery here. As you know, I've been looking at the Solomon Temple, and we have seen now, and I go into a lot of detail in my last video. I put all the pieces together from ancient Egypt all the way up to what we see in current times. And once again, I want to reiterate that everything I have shown you so far in all of these different areas has always confirmed itself. None of it has ever contradicted itself. And so when I find something and I come back later and I find something else, they always coincide. They always make sense with each other. And that's important because that means that we're talking about something regarding truth. Now, a lot of you may have noticed the ridiculous people that are sitting on the side and thumbing down my videos 10 to 12 times for every video. It happens very quickly, probably within a span of about 15 seconds. What's sad is that these people are not interested in truth. They're just interested in keeping something silent. Or they're emotionally trying to hold on to something, or they don't like me for whatever reason, and it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to bring you truth. So you may find that in all of the future videos there is a disclaimer at the top in the description area to let you know there's some kind of a bot attacking my account. But I'm really happy to be able to bring you this particular discovery. In the last one that I showed you regarding the Rothschilds' castle here, somebody had mentioned kind of off the wall that this kind of looks like a key. And I thought about that for a second. I was like, you know what? It does look like a key. So where is the next logical place to go, since this looks like a key? Well, the next logical place to go is actually Vatican City. And so we take a look, and we find that indeed it is a copy of the Solomon's Temple design. In fact, there are very detailed areas we're going to take a look at here real quick. And we'll start up here at the top where the holiest of holies is, right? Let's just take a look at this area right here. You might notice the two little stars right here on either side, and these two little temples you see right here, or those two little domes. And that coincides with that. The two vertical lines with arc in the middle are the same two vertical lines you see on either side of this structure. The Holy of Holies sits right where the temple is, and there's something very special about that that I'm going to show you in just a minute. Taking a look at the leg areas, you see that the bones actually follow the curvature of what's actually going on here. It follows the same 5 lines and rules that we see inside Solomon's Temple, that we see inside the Temple of Luxor, and that we've seen in these other places. Another thing is the two inner lines that you see right here, following the inner part of the legs. You'll notice those lines sit right on top of these gray lines that follow all the way down. Look at the porch area that you see right here, and what you see right here. And then this being the beginning of the temple where the sacrum starts. You'll notice that this white thing that you see right here corresponds to this altar that you see right here, and then following it up you have the two vertical lines, this on either side, and the Holy of Holies. It's very obvious that this models the body. Right here we see the actual skeleton frame on top of this, where the sacrum is and where the porch is. Turning the body to the frontal position shows that the width where the shoulders are now, especially right down here where the femurs kind of move inward a little bit, also matches the same design as what we see here as well. And I've got a larger version of that right up here. Let's take a look at the skull real quick, because right here is where the Holy of Holies is, where the pineal gland is located. See the way that the chin fits in the architecture, and the way the curve of the skull goes around the same curve that we see right here, where the skull fits in there just perfectly. Now, besides all of that, so it appears that the key that we see right here, the key to heaven, is actually the temple of the body, right? And the Holy of Holies is where the pineal gland is located. Someone mentioned something very interesting to me. They said, Danny, isn't that where that the lightning struck the Vatican, was on that temple? And I was like, you know what, I believe that you're right. So the lightning struck. The lightning struck the area of the pineal gland. And what's funny, I even have a video called The Pattern of the Matrix, where I do exactly that same thing, where the pineal gland strikes the pineal gland of the microcosm version. But there's something also really interesting that I want to show you about this as well. Because there's a specific altar that sits inside of that temple. It's the altar that was built by Bernini. And it just so happens to be the second discovery that I ever made regarding the Orion Nebula. And the Orion Nebula, as I have said before, way on down the road, is associated with spirit, and it's associated with the pineal gland. And sitting inside this dome, we have the same pattern that we see in all of these other cathedrals right here. Here is your winged disc, which is the Holy Spirit area right here. And then you have these same patterns that you see copied in all of these various cathedrals. We have Chapel of Versailles. We have St. Mary's Cathedral. This is done in 1500s. This is Awesome Kirch, and this was in the 1700s. This is Karlskirch, 1737. And then we have the one in the Vatican, containing the exact same pattern in the Orion Nebula. This area representing the trapezium, which is the center of the Orion Nebula, the center of the triangle. And you can see that these patterns exist on this also. So, given that I have just found the Solomon's Temple and the body and the area of the pineal gland sitting on top of the dome, where the altar exists, it corresponds to the center of the Orion Nebula. And what is the center of the Orion Nebula? The center of the Orion Nebula, that very bright area that you see right there, corresponds to the pineal gland. You think all this is just a coincidence that this has happened? All these particular patterns that have been repeated over and over again? And here's what else it confirms. Now that we know that the St. Peter's Square is the Solomon's Temple design, and it is regarding the human body, and then we take that design and we go compare to what I have told you about in Egypt itself, where the Nile Delta matches the same pattern that we see in this trapezium right here. And the Nile Delta represents the pineal gland. Do you think all this is just a coincidence, that I'm right about all this stuff? Do you think there are that many variables where it can all just be a coincidence every time? No, folks, this is what truth is. And there's some that don't want the truth. But as you have seen, everything I've told you has confirmed itself over and over. And this makes me really happy to see that once again, I have confirmed the information. This area right here represents where the emanation of Holy Spirit came from. It represents the pineal gland of the body, and there is an association or connection to this area of the cosmos. And you can find that in my video, Cosmic Christ. You can also find a story of the vision of Hermes, as narrated by Manly Hall, found in my video called Anthropos. You can find both those videos inside of the starter videos, as well as the one I recommend to everyone called Black Hole Sun, where I go all across culture and connect all the dots. So I just thought that you guys might like to see that, and I think it is a very interesting and very satisfying discovery. Here it is once again. And would the Vatican do this on purpose? Well, no, I don't believe that they would. But you have to remember that there were a set of people that were trying to keep the truth all the way since ancient times and have been demonized. And in order to keep from getting persecuted, people hid the truth in architecture. They hid the truth in art. And we know that Michelangelo, we know that Bernini, and we know that Giovanni Battista Galli and many others tried to keep the truth through art. The Masons tried to keep the truth through the architecture, showing the Temple of Solomon. And I don't believe that the Vatican knew about this, because they sure as hell wouldn't support it. And but truth has a way of exposing itself through the mystical and through those who are trying to keep the truth. And right here we see a combination of both. We see a combination of man trying to keep the truth, and we see the mystical truth unfolding. The mysterious lightning strike to the pineal gland, the mysterious temple associated with the Orion Nebula and matching up to the one we see in Egypt also, associated with the same area in the Orion Nebula. This is all truth, and as I've shown you before, everything confirms itself in many different areas. So I hope you guys enjoy that. If you're new, please subscribe to my channel. I've got discoveries coming out all the time. Y'all take care, and I'll talk to you soon.